trying to answer today is, can we do something to lower the cold air temperature, the intake temperature, what I meant, when the car is at a stoplight or standstill. As you can see in the baseline recording, after we started the car, you get a 98-degree temperature. The outside temperature is 84 degrees right now, but the standstill temperature after you start the car is about 90, 96, 98. When we move around, when we're standstill after like a 15-20 minute drive, the temperature goes up to about 150, 149, 148, 150. I'll show it here. Those are the baseline temperatures. When we move around, those temperatures lowered about 10 to 8 degrees, 138, 139 degrees when the air is moving, just because air is coming through from the bottom of this box, through the headlight and through the hood, which means that cooler outside air is coming through as the car is moving around. So the goal today is to do something with this intake so that the standstill temperature lowers down. And my idea is to try to wrap it with this exhaust wrap. All right, this exhaust wrap says that it can lower the temperatures to about 50% and can withstand to about 1800 degrees Fahrenheit direct intermittent heat and improves horsepower. This is 15 feet long. We're gonna wrap the intake tube and see if that lowers, and also got the coolant tape here, which I'm gonna tape around the air box to see if we can lower the temperature within this air box of the GLT intake. If that is effective in lowering the temperature by about 50%, we should see a temperature when we drive around later about 100 degrees when the car is not moving, and when the car is moving it should be lower than that. That's the goal, but that's the promise of this tape. This is about 26 bucks. Don't forget the zip ties that goes along with it. It's about $17, and the tape, which is about 20 bucks. So about $70 of materials here. But if it lowers the intake temperature even 20 degrees, or 20 degrees lower than when it's not wrapped, then it would have been worth it. So let's go ahead and proceed and see how this goes. Hopefully this works, but if not, then we're out of $70 of a useless mod. Okay. Stay tuned, we'll get going. All right, got done wrapping the plastic JLT intake pipe, and make sure you don't forget the locking tights. They're self-locking, so I was able to use 3 of them tied together. There's 1 here and 3 over there, so 6 of them. They kind of come like this. Okay, they're self-locking so that it's secure in place. Now all I need to do is tighten this up a little bit so it's secure in there. Okay, and make sure I don't poke myself. But I wrapped it rather tight, so it should not go anywhere, like that, as you can see. There you go. And then the next is I'm going to tape the box in the areas where it can receive heat, especially on this side, to make sure that we have the most exposed areas to the heat protected, so we can get cooler air through here. All right, that's the idea. So let me tape this side of the box, because this is the most exposed to heat, and this one here is more air coming through here. So let's see how this goes. I'm a little bit sweaty and I got some cuts in my hand, but that's just part of the job. All right, let's continue. All right, it's done. The only question is, does it work? Was it worth the effort? So as you can see, I put some heat tape in the air box of the JLT, and I put this engine heat wrap around the plastic JLT intake tube. Now all we have to do is do a test drive and compare the temperatures that I was able to get earlier when we did not have this installed. So if it works, $70 mod, then it's good. But if it doesn't work, it's cheap enough that it's worth this little Saturday afternoon project that we're doing. So it doesn't work, it doesn't hurt anything, so it's good. But if it works, then it is super productive. That's what it looks like. So let's go for a ride and we'll go from there. Alright, we've been driving around for about 10 minutes now. The outside temperature is about the same as earlier, 85 degrees as you see there. And we started with the air intake temperature when we left the house about 10-15 minutes ago at about 130. So it never went past 140. It's 131 right now, as you see the air intake temps, and it goes up and down, but it never has gone past 135 to 140. So it has definitely worked initially. My initial results, I guess, if you would think it that way, that it's been working. Because earlier we drove for about 10-15 minutes, we reached at about 150, 159 air intake temp when sitting around, and when you move around it goes down to 148, 149. Right now it stays to about 131 at the highest, as you can see there. When stop at a stoplight, about the same. When moving, it goes down a little bit to 128, 129 when we're moving around. So my initial thoughts is this modification has worked in lowering the air intake temperature. I'm going to continue to drive and see if this even goes up even further. Stay tuned. Okay, so what's the verdict? Was it worth it? I think so. After we drove around in this car, about 10-15 minutes of driving around, the temperature only rose up to about 130, 132 degrees. So that's a good start, because before the wrap, the heat shield wrap, it rose up to, even went up to 140, 150. So that is a good start. When you're sitting at idle, the temperatures didn't go past 135. It didn't go up to 140 at stoplights. Now when you moved around, that was even better when fresh air was coming through, because the starting temperature was already lower. Therefore, it lowered to 125 degrees. You're seeing temperatures like this when you're moving around. That's really good, because earlier we were looking at 130 plus, 138, 139 degrees, even if you were moving the car around or driving the car around. Now I also tested, as you see here, I let the car idle or sit, park, and just let the engine run and let it heat soak all the way around the engine for about 5 to 7 minutes, and the temperature only rose to about 152 degrees. As you can see earlier here, somewhere in here, it shows that it rose to about 158, 159 degrees. So even at standstill, you were getting lower temperatures. And when you start to move around, even 152 degrees, it lowered quickly to about 140, 142 degrees. So there's a 7 to 10 degree swing on your starting temperature all around the engine bay. But the real benefit is when you move around, you're getting way much cooler air. So for a $70 modification, it took me about 1 hour to install. It's well worth it. It's not very expensive. It's easy to install. You don't have to be very handy. I'm not. I'm I'm also not very patient, but I try to make sure it looks pretty. As you can see here, I'm just curious for you guys who have the LMI carbon fiber intake tube, what kind of temperatures are you getting moving around or at idle? Just to compare this one. If I get my hands on an LMI leg maker intake, I will um, I will try to compare it with this setup. Shout out to leg maker. Hopefully they'll see this video and they'll send me a sample to test to see if we're running the same temperature, because I know carbon fiber tube of the leg maker intake or LMI intake does not heat soak, does not conduct a lot of heat. So that's the idea here, is to wrap this so that the surrounding air does not penetrate the plastic JLT intake and does not heat soak this plastic, so the air coming through here is not heated up. That's the idea. To me, it's well worth the project by the testing that I've done based on the temperatures that you're seeing in this video. So hopefully it's something that you can do. And when you get your Hellcat, if you have a Hellcat, and try to see, comment below if you have the same results as me, or if you have a leg maker intake, and comment below please, so we can know what kind of temperatures you're getting with your leg maker with a carbon fiber intake tube. Some have actually modified it in a way where the leg maker intake is the tube and they still have this box to make sure that heat soak is minimized. So we can probably insulate this air box a little bit more in the future to see if it could drop the temperatures even lower, because I've seen little blanket things that I can crack this even just with this tape, because I don't feel this tape really brings a lot of insulation really. So it's something that we can do in the future. If you like videos like this and projects like this, please click the like button, subscribe, and share. So hoping that this was a informative video for you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.